Well, I see someone has a case of that convenient cross-franchise amnesia that seems to afflict most toy protagonists. That seems to be the one thing the show doesn't have in common with Force, eh? Kamen Rider continuity is confusing. Continuing from last week, our protagonists, unsurprisingly, survived their crash that resulted in a very loud and large explosion. Sure, 92% of Lala's ship wasn't functioning, but hey, it managed to somehow stay in mostly one piece. Ah yes, and it was all thanks to the power of... everyday scotch tape. Seriously, not even duct tape? I was also wondering why Lala's ship could speak Japanese, but that's explained later in the episode. Anyway, after the OP, we got an actual title card that we didn't get last week. Yeah, didn't notice that until I started editing. It made my closing statement a little awkward. Anyway, Hikaru learned a bit more about Fua. Again, I hope Kota doesn't file for copyright infringement. Yeah, I know both of these characters were created by Murayama, but I'm sticking with the joke, especially after all the copyright claims I've gotten. But yeah, Baby Fairy inside a magic book meant Fua was the almighty MacGuffin of the series, so Prunes tried to confiscate both of them for safekeeping. However, since it was originally her book, Hikaru decided not to hand over the key to the safety of the entire visible universe. Yeah, but you're still kind of a noob to this whole Precure thing, Hikaru. Just saying, you're kinda jumping headfirst into a lot of this with the same gravitas as jumping into the vacuum of space without the assurance that you'll catch the magic MacGuffin baby in time. Still, this little exchange will somewhat work its way back into the episode, so I'll let it pass for now. To ensure Fua's safety, the aliens followed Hikaru to her home and helped her sneak back in. In her room, they admired the Earthling's archaic learning tools. No, that's a different team's gimmick. But yeah, this was meant to help set up the series' major theme of imagination. Though before Hikaru could elaborate on the concept, her grandfather came in, forcing her friends to hide. Okay, that's material for a doujinshi if I've ever seen it. Anyway, Hikaru left to eat dinner while Lala went back to repair her ship. Using its AI, she asked what was the probability she'd become a Precure. Is that ship voiced by Android 18? It is! Well, there's your problem, Lala. Your ship is salty over the fact that her show ended prematurely. Heck, the thing even assigned the exact same Precure probability to Hikaru. Nah, but seriously, this would play a part later in the episode. Hikaru stopped by to give her some onigi. In exchange, Lala gave her some of her space rocks. And surprisingly, both foods were edible to the other species. Okay, I was actually half expecting this sort of reaction out of them. I hate this. Anyway, this is also where we learned that Lala was 13 in Earth years, and that she was considered to be an adult on her planet. I mentioned my fascination with this concept back in my early thoughts videos, and I'm still hoping they expand on it throughout this series. For now though, it does become a key plot point in this week's episode. Elsewhere, Capard was healing his wounds by taking a dip in a lake. Apparently, he really did take after his namesake. Either that or the Alien Rangers. The next day, Hikaru and Lala exchanged their culture's morning greetings. Lala's involved her letting Hikaru touch her sensors. So basically she's part of the Lantern Line? Putting that aside, we got a little more exposition from Prudes, pretty much confirming what we expected from episode 1. Fua had been entrusted with the powers of the 12-star princesses of the Zodiac. The Leia quoting one from last week was confirmed to be the Tauros princess by the credits. And apparently, their planet wasn't taken over by dark matter, but rather the Notoredas, play on the word Notoru meaning to hijack, which, yeah, fits the MO of a bunch of raiders. The princesses managed to repel the raiders, but used up all of their energy and were scattered across the universe. So yeah, typical fetch quest setup, but I do hope the Precure actually search for the star pens on planets beyond Earth in spite of what happens at the end of this episode. All of this proved to be a refresher for Hikaru as she revealed that she had seen the Blackened Star Palace in the last episode. This excited Prunes as he saw it as further proof that she was meant to become a Precure. However, Lala didn't take it as well, seeing Hikaru's enthusiasm as a sign that she wasn't taking her responsibilities as a Precure seriously. This is what I meant earlier when I said they would work in Hikaru's lack of gravitas into this week's story. They're basically showing the conflicting viewpoints of two girls whom, in spite of being of the same age, were at different points in their lives due to their society's standards. Yes, Hikaru was being a little callous over the whole situation, but to be fair, she was by our world standards still a child. Conversely, Lala, who was the more level-headed of the two, was also raised in a way so that she likely had to skip a lot of her potential childhood, hence why she couldn't comprehend the concept of an imagination. Neither of their viewpoints were necessarily wrong given how they were raised, but they also couldn't mesh well at first. It's honestly an interesting little conundrum overall. Though, I can't help but feel like I've seen this dynamic somewhere before, where a more mature Precure ends up developing frustrations towards her more talented yet airheaded partner.
Coincidence? I think not!
Lala went off on her own to sit in front of the observatory where she met the old man from the last episode. It's here that we quickly learn the limitation of Fuwa's translation spell. In reality, Lala's been speaking her alien language this whole time and couldn't understand Japanese aside from Hikaru's. Makes sense since the spell was created by them holding hands and we the viewers are just sharing in Hikaru's experience. Speaking of whom, after nearly blowing Lala's cover, so glad we got such a smart protagonist this season, Hikaru took the time to try and convince Lala she could become a Precure. Lala didn't believe her at first based on the numbers, those Vulcan years aren't just for show. But Hikaru told her that since the data was only based on past events, she shouldn't think it completely applies to her, which, fair enough, is true. This advice came at a good time as Caparta arrived. And as I said last week, Ueno wasn't doing the animation this week, so no awesome zero-gravity fights. However, there were still notable highlights, including Prune's proving to be the most competent incarnation of the thing, and of course the debut of Cure Milky. And by the looks of it, singing transformations are just gonna be a thing for this show. Question now is, does this surpass all of her voice actresses' previous singing roles? Let's be clear of one thing, nothing is going to surpass the Chica dance! Nah, but seriously, this is a really cute and well-animated transformation sequence that beautifully illustrates her motif of the Milky Way, or as it's referred to in Eastern Asian cultures, the rivers of the heavens. Also, this puffy face is the greatest thing ever and I will not hear otherwise. Though while Lala is the Precure of the heavenly rivers, let's not forget that Lantern is half electric type. Also, from what I've been told, they're getting rid of the Monster of the Week formula for this series, which sounds good. I just hope they change things up to prevent this from becoming repetitive. Also, it's just depressing to see a guy who's in denial of his receding hairline constantly lose. Anyway, after the baddies retreated, the episode ended with Hikaru congratulating her alien friend for becoming a Precure, and her pendant pointing towards the sign of the Tauros. Unsurprisingly, things did slow down this episode, which is not at all a bad thing, especially if they want to hammer out all the little details of the overarching conflict. It wasn't as strong as the first episode, but it really didn't need to be. I will say, I'm still not completely sold on Hikaru just yet, as I do think she's still a little too impulsive for my taste. That said, they are using that impulsiveness to contrast with Lala's character, so I can't really get upset about it. Lala herself is building out to be a very interesting character. Here's a girl who's technically a working class woman on her planet, experiencing things she couldn't or didn't have much time for due to her world's accelerated culture. Not to denounce how Lala was raised, and I hope they don't completely do that in this show, let's not disrespect the Vulcans. But yeah, my greatest fear for this series is them taking the Tokuja route and just saying that adults are incapable of having imaginations, like with Hikaru's stern grandfather. I don't think that's what they're going with, but rather more that people should never lose their inner child, the part of themselves that believes in endless possibilities and isn't held down by statistics. Hopefully they can balance out these two extremes. Only minor gripe I have is that all of this does feel reminiscent of Murayama's previous series, and I just don't want the show to remain in Mahotsuki's shadow forever. Once the other 2 or 3 Cures join the team, that shouldn't be an issue, so here's looking forward to more. I'm currently working on my overview for the whole of Hakuto Precure. It's coming out lengthier than I originally planned, not so much because I think it's a high quality series, but more because it's of such varying quality that it's giving me a lot of talking points that I don't want to leave out. I will try to get it out as soon as I can, as there is one particular part of this series I want to highlight. You'll see what I mean when it comes out, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and if you'll excuse me, I have to practice my Chica dance.